Hi everyone, I'm Sheri Groom with Republic Title, and I'm here today with Matt Visinsky, Senior Residential Counsel at Republic Title. And we're going to talk about the residential homestead exemption. So Matt, what is a homestead?
Sure. For property tax purposes, which is going to be our focus today, a homestead is a house or another structure that an individual uses as his or her primary residence. Homesteads in Texas are entitled to certain protections and benefits under the law.
So what are some of those protections and benefits?
Well, one big protection is that homesteads are protected from certain types of liens being placed against them. But today we're going to focus on property taxes. And the major benefit there is the ability of a homeowner to file for their residential homestead exemption for tax purposes.
So how does that work? Tell us.
If a property is residential and someone uses it as their residence, they can apply for the residential homestead exemption, and once it's granted, it helps to reduce the taxable value of the property for tax purposes. So as an example, if a house is worth $100,000 and the county allows $25,000 for the homestead exemption, that property is taxed on $75,000 value as opposed to $100,000, so it saves the taxpayer money.
Got it.
Additionally, there are other exemptions like an over 65, disability, disabled veterans, and other homestead exemptions that can be filed that can save taxpayers just additional money.
So Matt, tell us who can apply for a homestead exemption?
Good question. Generally, it's an individual that lives in the property and occupies it as their primary residence. It can also be a trustee of a revocable living trust who lives in the house as their residence can file. A business, corporate entity, LLC, something like that does not qualify for a homestead in Texas.
In order to do that. So how many homesteads can someone have? What if they own 2 different properties or 3 different properties?
Yeah, and some people do. So in that situation, they have to pick one. They're only entitled to 1 homestead. An individual and a married couple actually is only entitled to 1 homestead. So in a situation where someone owns multiple properties, the example I use frequently is a lake house, for example, where someone might live there a part of the year. They've got to pick which property they want their homestead to apply to and to get those benefits.
So Matt, when can someone apply for a homestead exemption?
Generally speaking, in the past, people have had to wait until January 1st of the year after they acquire a property to file and get the benefit of the homestead exemption. But the law changed this year, and now it's possible in certain situations for a buyer to file and receive the benefits of that homestead exemption immediately upon acquiring that new property if that property that they purchased does not already have a homestead exemption on it. Yes. Okay. So that is a big change. There is some misinformation out in the market or some misunderstanding. In most cases, they're going to have to wait, though, until January in a residential situation to file for their exemptions.
So what do you mean exactly? If they can save money on their taxes when they purchase their new home, why would they not want to do that immediately?
That's a really good question because everybody wants to save money, right? So in some situations, if someone's buying a new home and they already own a home where they have a homestead exemption, it may be possible for them legally to transfer that exemption to their new house, again, if that new house doesn't already have a homestead exemption. But our understanding is that the Appraisal District in some situations may end up removing the exemption from their existing home for the entire year. And if that's the case, and say they're closing at the end of the year, they may lose that existing exemption for the whole year and end up paying higher taxes and only get the benefit of the exemption on the new property for 2 or 3 months. And in that situation, it's going to actually cost them more money. So it might not make sense for them to transfer that exemption and just wait until January of the next year to file for it themselves.
Oh, now that makes sense. Now that makes it a little easier to understand. So how can you find out what the Appraisal District is going to do with the exemption if a homeowner wants to transfer their homestead exemption?
Right. Our recommendation is for the homeowners to reach out to the Appraisal District directly. This is a new law that's just going into effect this year, and so there is some uncertainty there. So contacting the Appraisal District before you do anything or start filing any paperwork about removing exemptions is our best advice.
Well, thank you, Matt, because that was great information. So in addition to the homestead exemption, there's a lot of other exemptions that homeowners could be eligible for. So if you have any questions about exemptions, please reach out to Republic Title, one of your local offices. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.